new episode, OPOstories from the NBA. My today guest is Chris Copeland, former New York Knicks, Milwaukee Bucks, and Indiana Pacers player. Hello, Chris.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good. And how are you?
I'm good, man. I feel I'm very well. I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Okay, we start the new year, so it's the first episode in 2023. But now, first, I would like to, as usually, ask about the beginnings of the story with the basketball. And so, who was your favorite player and the team when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I had a couple favorite players. There was Penny Hardaway and Tracy McGrady were probably my two favorites. Um, they were like 6'8" and could do more. And at that time, growing up, they usually said the taller guys had to just be in a post. And those are some of the guys I thought were like changing the game. Like, wow, they're tall and they could bring the ball up the floor and they could shoot from a distance, and they were special. Those are my guys.
Both with number one on the jersey.
Yeah, yes, facts.
And when we are talking also about the really beginnings of the basketball, this is one of these issues which I really liked in the NBA. Not only the stats, not only the top tens actions, but also to see the road of each player to be in the best league in the NBA. As NBA as it is, and usually there are. Hundreds of thousand players on the high school level or even earlier, then college, and then those who are in the league. And when I read about your story that you grew up without father and lost brother in your teenage age, I'm really curious, did basketball was some kind of shelter from all those troubles which appear in your life?
For sure. There were. I think the word is sanctuary. Is definitely. Uh, there was a place where I could go and feel safe. From all the drama and stresses of the world. I would go and I forgot about everything that was happening every time I was on the floor, even though while playing basketball, I always wanted to make my brother proud. So there was something that he was always on my mind.
Mm-hmm. And why and how did you choose the basketball?
Just watching my brother, man, like, he always played basketball and I always looked up to him. He was basically my father. And I always wanted to be around him, and that's what he did. So I wanted to do everything that he did. You know what I mean? And that's something I think he gave to me.
Mm-hmm. And also, your your road to the NBA wasn't easy because when I check it in your early career, just before the NBA, in the high school, in the Hermitage High School, you were a star. There were a lot of awards and honors in Virginia district, but situation changed when you start playing at the college, because in the first season you play mostly from the bench, limited minutes. And how did you adapt to this new situation from being a star and the leader to being a role player?
Uh, it was frustrating for sure. But that's one of those moments where you only can do the best you can. So I just locked into the gym, man. Just try to keep working on my game. I saw the guys ahead of me. I saw them as more advanced. I was honest with myself. I was like, okay, these guys are bigger, stronger. I was real with myself, right? And I knew where I had to get better. And, I let time, I took the time, to see where I was lacking and tried to improve in those areas. And then my time came much later.
And did you've got the moments when you just felt that it's over, it's not worthy to put all those efforts, and it's better
Mhm.
to focus on something else?
Yeah, I've had that thought, but that's where, my brother comes in. I always felt like he was with me and watching me, so it was a lot harder for me to quit. For a person that would just, okay, this isn't looking too good. What are we gonna do next? I never felt I was gonna have that. I just never had that quit as a part of me. It was just like, okay, this is a roadblock. How do we navigate this? My mom, when I was really young, she used to always tell me to find a way or make a way. So that's been my motto since I was a kid.
And this hard works really worked, because when we checked your college career, there was for 4 years from the bench player with limited minutes, you became the playing mostly in the starting five, and 2006 year appear NBA draft. Did you were disappointed that nobody selected you even in the second round?
Yeah, of course. I didn't. You're always around that time. You're more honest with yourself. You know if you're gonna get drafted. I never was a All American or highly touted guy as a basketball player. So you kind of hope, and there's teams that say we might, and there's that conversation I had with my agent, but I knew it wasn't gonna happen. But I was definitely sad to know that I was seeing a lot of my peers that I thought I could compete with going to a place that I thought I could play there too, and that just wasn't my fate at that time, and I had to go, and just like same as in college, okay, these other guys are getting these opportunities. What do I have to do? I got to get back in the gym. I got to keep working until I figure out, how to get to where I belong.
Mm-hmm. And did you got some workouts with some NBA teams?
Yeah, not many, but yeah, my coming out of college, I think I had only one real workout. It was with DC. It was with the Wizards. Um, but I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a bunch. No, I had some scouts come and see me in my what they call pre-draft workouts. But like Houston and some other but it was never official. Like I wasn't a big name coming out of college.
Mhm. So your road to the NBA, as I mentioned, wasn't easy, and it took you a couple of years to finally appear in the NBA. And during the time of 2006 and 2012, you play in the league and also in many European teams. And which moments were the best for you, of besides the time spent in the Belgium league when you were the MVP and got a lot of awards?
Uh, Germany is a place that I say is the most important in my basketball career. Coach changed my life. Um, he's a guy that, I thought I was working hard, and then I learned, what hard work really was, right? And I learned, the importance of my mentality, and how I approached the game, which was huge, and also how I approached life. He shifted my focus in a lot of ways, and it was so important for me um to have him as a coach, a mentor, and he guided me the right way so that I could get on path to success, and that happened in Germany. It was 2 years of an all intensive. It's like, in college you have a red shirt. I was playing, but it was like I was training. I was there to get. He changed me. You know what I mean? So I think the most important years were my year in Germany. My years in Germany.
And how difficult was to you to this switch from the let's call it European basketball schedule, which is easier than it is in the NBA, because you've got 1, 2, maybe maximum 3 games per week, and in the NBA it's much more intensive. Was it really difficult to you to change and to become the NBA player?
No, I would be willing to bet you. no European turned NBA guy or vice versa. Anybody that has European and NBA experience, I would guarantee you, none of them would say Europe is easier. I guarantee zero will say that. Europe is 100% harder schedule as far as the life, right? So there are less games, yes, but Europe, the practices in Europe are night and day to the NBA. You practice hard in the NBA, doesn't compare to European training camps. Like your NBA training camp is a week, 2 weeks max of all intensive 6 a.m. You know, you go to Europe, you're doing 6 a.m.s for a month or more. You know what I'm saying? If you don't get respect to Serbians, but get a Serbian coach. Everybody knows you get a Serbian coach, you run it all year. So, Europe is a place that I think, again, I felt like I was in training camp, and the NBA was tougher competition for sure, but the schedule was much easier as far as I was concerned.
So in season 2012-13, the dream came true. You appear in the NBA. You were 28 years old player, but it was your rookie season. And did your teammates were so nasty for you as usually for the other rookies?
Yeah. I went through rookie hazing for sure. Yeah, there's pictures of me online in a onesie and Disney backpack, and there was a lot of stuff behind closed doors. Yeah, I had to do all the rookie duties, and yeah, but I was honestly the whole time, I was honored, man. I was happy to put on that onesie. I was happy to put on the Disney princess backpack, because it was such an honor to be there, and I knew that was part of what happens. Like there's old videos of like Shaq, with the Mickey Mouse thing on his head, and like this what I got to, so your rite of passage. You know what I'm saying? And I was so honored to be there. I was happy to go through all that stuff.
What was more stressful for you, being on the court and playing in the NBA game in this rookie season, especially at the beginning, or singing "Happy Birthday" to Jason Kidd during the break?
Singing "Happy Birthday" to Jason Kidd was absolutely the most stressful part of my entire NBA career, for
Okay.
sure. At the Garden, they set me up. I love telling that story. I thought for sure I was gonna have help. JR and James White and Iman, they all left me stranded. And I thought they were gonna sing along with me. And the next thing you know, I was by myself and the whole garden was staring at me. Yeah, that was the scariest moment of my NBA career by far.
Okay, so this "Happy Birthday" is number one, and two
Number one.
others. If you can choose the top three, the most scary or difficult moments in the NBA.
That's number one. Number two, the day one. Um, honestly, for me, summer league, uh, my literal day one in the NBA. Game one in summer league is probably number two. I was terrified. I didn't know what to expect. I was 27 years old. I knew my window was closing. I didn't know if I was, you confident, but you never really know if you're good enough. And you got to go out there, and that's nerve wracking. Like, okay, I never got to play in a summer league, and they're gonna play me. Like, I'm gonna go play against, some really tough competition, and a bunch of guys trying to get very few positions, and uh, to say I wasn't concerned, I was for sure. So that would probably be the most pressurized situation. Number two, number three, playoffs. Yeah, playoffs. My first time in the playoffs. I remember Kenyon Martin telling me, um, it feels brighter. The game. It does feel faster. The intensity, like, 'cause you could feel the energy in the room, especially in the Garden. But he was one of the people that, uh, like, hey, listen, it's still basketball. You know what I mean? But it's a different energy altogether. So I would say day one, and then like being in the playoffs would be my third, I think. most like, oh, what is this, you know?
So also the beginning of your career was some from the fan perspective, quite a difficult market, which expected a lot from the team, from the players. And how you can compare it to playing in the Pacers and in the Milwaukee and which are different markets, smaller markets. How about the pressure which is on the team and the players?
Yeah, I mean, it's common knowledge. New York is, you know, New York or LA, but I say New York. I think New York is the hardest place to play in the NBA, for a lot of reasons. Big market, yes. The fans are very tough. The fans are like, they know basketball, so that's one. They demand and expect a certain level of effort for you, and honestly, like there's this it's respectable what they expect. Like they expect you to come out and play hard every night. They're not even so wins and losses. They want to win, but they expect a certain energy. Um, it's New York, it's a blue collar city. Um, so for me, I think the fact that it's a major market with such hardworking people that really know the game, and then there's the lights and there's the glitz and there's you put everything in a pot. It's a challenging place to play. Indiana and Milwaukee are more family, smaller community vibes, more. It's all like they're all major cities though, but there's a big difference between New York and Milwaukee or Indiana as far as like the vibe.
And did ever Spike Lee tell you after the game, "Good job"?
Yeah, yeah. I've hung out with Spike a couple of times actually. When we've been to dinner. Um, he's a he's a really good dude. He's always been supportive. He's Knicks' greatest fan, and he's a great dude.
And during this rookie season, those first steps in the NBA, who was from your teammates was mentor for you because you play with some great vets like Jason Kidd mentioned, which I mentioned, and also Amara Stoudemire. Who advised you? Whose advice were most useful for you during those first steps in the NBA?
Everybody on my team chipped in, bro. Like everybody, even Pablo Prigioni, who was a rookie with me, but he was like 35, right? Everybody chipped in. Marcus Camby, you name him, but the number one guy is Kurt Thomas for sure. From start to finish, from preseason to even after he left, he ended up having to leave the team. He had an injury. I think it was a broken foot. I still could call him, and he would still text me before games or after games to let me know if I sucked. Um, Kurt was my guy, man. He kept me cool in a major market. It's very hard being new to New York, new to the NBA alone, but then going to New York is a huge adjustment. And he helped me manage, the emotions and then, okay, these lights are really, really bright here. And Kurt helped me manage that, amongst other things. So yeah, Kurt was my guy, Kurt Thomas. OG, what up, OG? That's what I used to call him.
And also, when I look at the stats from your career, 4 seasons, and you start with the very good 42.1% from 3-point line, and each season it was a decrease of this result. So what happened?
Oh, they know. Everybody, the secret's out, right? So it gets harder, and guys, the scouting, you're no longer not on the scouting report, and then it goes from, okay, we know he's a shooter, to no, he's a shooter, don't let him touch the ball, and then the defense gets a lot more intense once you've proven yourself a bit. So yeah, naturally it gets more and more challenging.
And after those 4 seasons in the NBA, you again start to play in Europe, in the Turkish league. And did you try to come back to the NBA?
I thought about it, but I've been doing things outside of basketball for some time now. I started honestly. I was so happy to have made it, and I looked at it as a blessing. I had my moments where I was like, man, it would be nice to go back or something like that. But I started setting my sights. I was glad to accomplish that goal. Remember I was 27 years old as a rookie, spending my whole life trying to make it to the NBA. So once I accomplished that, and I look back on the road and everything I had been through, when I was in Turkey and Andorra, we I got to really look back and be like, okay, I'm happy with the basketball journey and what's next. And that's kind of where I'm at now.
And if you can create the team, the all-time Chris Copeland teammates team, who would you select?
Okay, so we talking purely talent or we talking my favorite teammates? Which one?
You could create both. So we could create two teams.
Okay. Um Talent, pure talent that I've played with. Um at point guard, I would say Jason Kidd. Shooting guard, I say Paul George. At the three, I would say Carmelo. At the four, I would say Giannis. At the five, I would say I'd say either. That's a good one. I should have thought of this. I'll say either Tyson or Amari.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, Tyson or Amari. Maybe even Bynum. He was crazy. But yeah, Tyson or Amari. I don't know. Depends on the day. I love
Mm-hmm.
both stuff.
So you got pure talent and those players who you really enjoy to be in the team.
Yeah, I mean, I always say Shump was my favorite teammate. Um, uh, Kurt Thomas, my OG. I would say Kenyon. That's three. James White, that's my guy. As far as just a great teammate. Donald Sloan and Solomon Hill. Those two guys be my top favorites. But underrated teammate just also pops in my mind is Lance Stevenson. He was a ton of fun. Great guy to be around. Underrated teammate. Um, yeah. So those are the guys that pop up in my mind, very quickly.
Yes, well, I focus at your rookie season, but I'm also curious about especially this time spending in Indiana Pacers, because you were really close to be an NBA Finals, but it was Miami Heat time. So how do
Yeah.
you remember those this team and also this Eastern Conference Finals?
We were with a team to challenge LeBron, and we did that. We challenged, but LeBron is very special. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. I think he's the greatest to ever do it. But he's one of on everybody's list. Anybody who knows basketball, and he had a team and a supporting cast that was very special as well, full of Hall of Famers. So we had some guys on our team that were tough and were up for the challenge and weren't scared of LeBron. And there were a lot of people in the league that were. You know what I mean? Our team was like just trying to figure out ways to beat those guys, and I respected them. I think our team respected them, and after we lost, it is what it is. You lose to that type of team. you tip your hat and you show them respect, and you keep pushing forward.
Yes, and when we are looking at the LeBron James, who is now at 38 and still we've got the opportunity to score almost 30 points per game and do the crazy dunks and so on. It's really good to see him, and we should be really appreciate to for each season or for each game he's on the court, because as you said, he is for sure top of the history of the basketball. And who knows, of course, that there is this discussion between MJ and LeBron, which sometimes I think that just makes that you don't focus on the basketball and the greatness of LeBron, but only about some preferences. But when we are talking about the greatness, for sure there is also Giannis Antetokounmpo. You were in Bucks when he just beginning his career in the NBA. I'm just after the I read the book about the Giannis, and his story is amazing. How from the poor kid from the Greece he became one of the faces of the NBA. How do you remember him from his really first steps in the league and also in US?
I remember him being a great kid. I remember, telling all my friends like, "Yo, this kid's gonna take over the league," and not surprised at all to where he is now. Great kid, hard worker. I mean, he's a guy that, a lot of guys stay after and shoot. Not a lot of guys stay after and shoot and come back later at night and doing extra work. And he's a guy that, I always, I didn't have super athlete gifts. I was a guy that I always had to come back at night. I always had to do extra work. So I was always shocked to see who the type of guys that would come in. And Giannis was a budding star. He wasn't nowhere near what he is now, but he was always there. I never went in and didn't see Giannis. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things that I'm super proud of him and where he is now. He deserves it. He's gotten there through blood, sweat, and tears for real. And that was my impression of Giannis. Like, he had all the talent in the world, and he was one of those guys that could work for it, and that would work for it. So, I salute him, and I think he's got even brighter days ahead. He's already doing well, but salute to Giannis. Salute, big salute, and his family. Shout out to Thanasis, and salute, big salute, good people.
Yeah, and they are still really close to each other, and after what they have to live in the Greece, it's amazing. That's and amazing, and also I'm really happy that the dream come true when we look at them and the Giannis and his family. So, Chris, again, thank you very much for being a guest, OPOstories from the NBA. Thank you for sharing with us all those interesting stories from your career in the NBA and also in Europe. So again, thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me, man.
Okay, so goodbye.
Ciao.